Hey guys, it's Mike here, and today I'm going to be bringing you another video on Dragon Ball Z. In this video, I'm going to be talking about something that many people have wondered ever since this character was introduced within the series, and that is just how strong is Gotenks. Now, with regards to this topic, there's a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of math to do. So, without further ado, let's get started and take an in-depth look at this topic. So for some background on this character, as we all know, Gotenks is the fusion between the son of Goku, the youngest son, Goten, as well as the son of Vegeta in Trunks. When they use the Metamorese Fusion Dance, which Goku taught them in the Buu saga, and come together with their powers equal to one another, they become Gotenks, a powerful fusion of both beings, and a wholly new being who is capable of turning into multiple forms of the Super Saiyan transformation, ranging from Super Saiyan 1 to Super Saiyan 3. Despite Goten and Trunks both being Super Saiyans, they are not truly on the level of any of the other Super Saiyans before they come together in their fusion, but all of that changes when they become Gotenks, who is suddenly not only on the level of the other characters, but arguably stronger than all of them as well. So again, this raises the question, exactly how powerful is Gotenks? Well, in order to figure this out, we're going to need to use a combination of three different factors. Number 1, statements about the character of Gotenks and his power. Number 2, extra material from things outside of the manga and the anime itself. And last but not least, math. And don't worry for all those people out there who say power levels are bullshit. There's not going to be any of those power levels floating around in here, but rather we're going to be using power scaling. So let's first start off with statements made by characters about the power of Gotenks. So the first example that we're going to be using in this video has to do with Goku after his fight against Majin Buu during the Buu saga. Now, as we know, while Goku was fighting Buu, it was a tactic to stall him from getting to West City so that Trunks can in turn get to the Capsule Corporation and get the Dragon Radar so they could find the Dragon Balls in the future to reverse all of the damage that Buu had done. After Trunks had successfully completed his mission and was back on his way to Kami's palace at the Lookout, Goku immediately ended his fight with Buu. Now, after this fight was over, in order to get Buu to stop destroying things on the planet, he told him that if he stopped destroying things and killing people across the planet, that in 2 days, a fighter even stronger than Goku would come to fight him. And of course, this was referring to the theoretical Gotenks once the boys actually learned how to do the fusion dance correctly. This was further elaborated on once Goku was back at the Lookout and speaking with Piccolo, as while the two were discussing Buu and the situation after he had killed Babidi, Goku told Piccolo that he had told Buu that a fighter even stronger than him would come in 2 days to fight Buu, and that Buu seemed happy as a result of this. So these are two examples in which Goku is referring to the theoretical fusion of Goten and Trunks, which would later become Gotenks, being stronger than him. And concerning the fact that we just saw Goku fighting against Majin Buu as a Super Saiyan 3, the strongest transformation we'd seen up to that point and the maximum of Goku's power, even if he was holding back a little bit, Goku knew exactly how powerful he was, and was still saying that Gotenks would be stronger than him. Although this does of course beg the question of what form of Gotenks was Goku referring to at this point in time when he said that Gotenks would be more powerful than he was as a Super Saiyan 3. But the evidence points to it being Super Saiyan 1 Gotenks because of the fact that not only did Goku, when he was training the kids how to use the fusion dance, bring up the fact that they would be able to turn into Super Saiyans as a fusion, this is also later collaborated by Piccolo once they actually fuse in their base and become base Gotenks, as immediately Gotenks becomes cocky and believes that in his base he would be able to defeat Majin Buu. However, Piccolo, who has just sensed his power, states that he's nowhere near strong enough at that point in time to do so. Furthermore, base Gotenks goes off to try and fight Buu, and although we don't see the fight in the manga, returns to Lookout beaten up, saying that Buu beat him good. And thus, as a result of this, we know that they must have been referring to Gotenks as a Super Saiyan 1. So going by statements, as nothing contradicts these statements, at this point in time it would appear that Gotenks as a Super Saiyan 1 was already stronger than Goku as a Super Saiyan 3. But then of course we know, once Buu becomes Super Buu, Goten and Trunks are sent into the hyperbolic time chamber by by Piccolo to train as hard as they can to work on the fusion and to become more powerful so that they would be able to defeat Super Buu, who has become far more powerful than he was when he actually was the fat Majin Buu of before that Goku fought. And of course, at this point in time, we know that Gotenks as a Super Saiyan 1 is not on the level of Super Buu. And this is of course collaborated by Piccolo because of course when Krillin says that fusing together should have made them the most powerful being in the universe or the ultimate fighter, Piccolo says that because of how powerful Buu has become and how adept he's now become at fighting with his new body, no matter how powerful Gotenks is right now, he stands no chance at all against Super Buu, which is yet another reason why he sent them into the hyperbolic time chamber. Ergo, at this point in time, Gotenks would be placed between Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Buu. Now at this point in time, it becomes a little bit more difficult using statements to extrapolate just how powerful Gotenks would be because of conflicting statements made by different characters and actions that occurred during these statements being made. The biggest one would have to do with the power-up that Gotenks received during his time in the hyperbolic time chamber. Now whereas Goten and Trunks had just finished training as Gotenks during their time in the hyperbolic time chamber, and they were discussing how they discovered that there was another form beyond the Super Saiyan transformation. And we later learned that this Super Saiyan transformation was Super Saiyan 3 as he unveiled it right when he was fighting Super Buu after they escaped from the hyperbolic time chamber. They were running through their game plan of just exactly how they would be utilizing that form when Trunks makes a very interesting statement about the power of base Gotenks. Now basically what Trunks says at this point in time is that normal or base Gotenks should be equal to Buu in power, and they were going to struggle for about 25 minutes according to their game plan before they whip out Super Saiyan 3 for the final 5 and destroy him. And of course this ties into the fact that Super Saiyan 3 only lasts in their fusion for 5 minutes and drops the duration of their fusion to that allotment of time. So basically Trunks is trying to say that at this point in time Gotenks has become powerful enough to where they would be equal to Buu in their base. Now later on when Buu and Piccolo come into the hyperbolic time chamber, Goten and Trunks fuse into Gotenks, and upon seeing them do this, Piccolo states that they have powered up hugely. And then at this point seemingly ponders whether or not they would be able to actually beat Buu in their base. Now I believe that the statement that Trunks made is not actually factual to what happens in the manga and the series, and in many ways it ties into the fact that such an increase of power in such a short period of time would be absurd. And I'll get into the math surrounding that a little bit later in the video. But personally I believe that this was a little example of a character making a boast or a bluff, which is later disproven as Toriyama tends to write this way. Whenever a character in the series is bluffing, Toriyama always tends to showcase just how they were bluffing and shows to prove them wrong. For example, during the Android saga, after Vegeta as a Super Saiyan fought and defeated Android 19, Dr. Gero, Android 20 was ready to prepare his attack against Vegeta, but Vegeta made a bluff to Dr. Gero that stated that he would have been able to still defeat Dr. Gero even after 19 had absorbed a lot of his energy, and was saying that he still had enough energy to spare to still finish off Dr. Gero as well. Now of course Dr. Gero took this bluff at face value and retreated. However, it was quickly stated and showcased by Vegeta and Piccolo that Vegeta was in fact bluffing, as Vegeta quickly asked for a senzu bean so that he could pursue Gero, and Piccolo confirmed that he was bluffing as a tactical maneuver. So in this case, after Trunks stated that base Gotenks should be just as strong as Buu, and despite the fact that Piccolo said that he powered up hugely, Gotenks went and tried to fight Super Buu in his base, and despite all of his best efforts, he was able to do no damage whatsoever. And it appears that Piccolo quickly withdrew his statement by saying, "We're doomed." And considering how Toriyama writes, and considering just how this scene went about, it seems like this scene was set up just to showcase that Trunks was incorrect about the power of base Gotenks, especially later on in the fight when we see that Gotenks is only ever able to actually get the better of Buu when he's a Super Saiyan 3, meaning that Buu is significantly above him. So it only makes sense that this whole scene and those statements showcase that Gotenks was full of himself, underestimated Super Buu, and overestimated his own abilities. And that conclusion also makes sense within the context of the Gotenks character, and also plays into exactly why he was able to get absorbed by Super Buu later on in the series. Now during their fight in the hyperbolic time chamber, it seems clear that Gotenks was weaker than Super Buu was when he was in his forms of base and Super Saiyan. But once he actually transforms into a Super Saiyan 3, it appears that the entire fight going forward, Gotenks has the clear advantage over Buu. And aside from the actions that take place, there are also statements which back this up. For one, it appeared at the end of the fight between Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and Super Buu that Gotenks was right about to kill Buu once and for all with the final attack. When Buu later returned after blowing himself up so that he can come back and absorb Gotenks and Piccolo into himself, Trunks then states that he was stronger than Buu was during their fight and would have been able to defeat him as long as he didn't turn back into his normal form and then defuse because of the time limit of the Super Saiyan 3 transformation. Furthermore, when they refuse back into Gotenks as a Super Saiyan 3 and tell Gohan that they can take it from there, Gohan seems to imply that they're also stronger than Buu because he allows them to continue to fight. And this is of course after Gohan had fought Super Buu himself, so he must have known how strong Super Buu was and thus implied that Gotenks was stronger than Super Buu was. Buu also implies that Gotenks would be stronger than him as well because when he's pondering about absorbing Gotenks and Piccolo, he talks about how the power of Gotenks and the mind of Piccolo will make him unstoppable. So at this point, with this level of evidence, it makes sense to say that Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks is stronger than Super Buu was. But of course, after the end of the fight between Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and Super Buu, Gohan shows up. And not only is he demonstrated to be stronger than Gotenks and Super Buu, but he's also stated to be through statements. And Super Buu, Goten, Trunks, and even Gohan all state that Gohan was stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and Super Buu were in their fight. So at this point in time, with the evidence that we've been presented, it makes sense to state that Gotenks is stronger than Super Buu but weaker than Gohan. So at this point in time, we'll have to move on to the next 2 points that we're going to make to address just how strong Gotenks is, and that's extra material and, of course, math. So for the extra materials that we're going to be using for this demonstration, we're going to be using the multipliers for the Super Saiyan transformations. And these will directly tie into our power scaling and math portion of this video. Now, as we know from extra materials, the Super Saiyan 1 multiplier is 50 times the base power. So in the case of Goku, when he was on Namek, his base power was 3 million when he fought against Frieza. So 3 million times 50 is 150 million. In addition to this, the Super Saiyan 2 multiplier is 2 times Super Saiyan 1, or 100 times the base. And the Super Saiyan 3 multiplier is 4 times Super Saiyan 2, or 400 times the base power. So for an example, if we say that Goku's base power remained the same up until the point when he got Super Saiyan 3, then Goku's power in the Buu Saga as a Super Saiyan 3 would be 1.2 billion. But since there are no official power levels that come after the Frieza saga, this is why we in turn have to use power scaling. In order to come up with a proper definition of how far apart different characters are from one another, we'll have to use the Super Saiyan multipliers combined with the multipliers or percentages of power that it requires to defeat your opponent in Dragon Ball Z, or at least to the degree that we see demonstrated in this saga. So to start off, as we've gathered, since Goku said that Gotenks as a Super Saiyan before the Hyperbolic Time Chamber was stronger than him, let's try and see by exactly how much. So let's start off by saying that Gotenks is 25% stronger than Goku, or 1.25 times stronger than Goku as a Super Saiyan 3. This basically falls within the range of Goku versus Frieza when Goku was the Super Saiyan on Namek and Frieza was at his 100% max power form. So this would essentially be Goku as a Super Saiyan 3 plus Vegeta as a Super Saiyan 2, as Super Saiyan 3 is 4 times Super Saiyan 2, and Vegeta and Goku seemed about equal in their fight. Now, if we assume that Fat Majin Buu's power level was approximately half of what Goku's is, or 0.5 times Goku's power as a Super Saiyan 3, and there's evidence to support this considering the fact that Fat Buu was still able to be damaged by Vegeta when he was not going full out, but he was able to effortlessly dominate him once he actually started to try in their fight towards the end of that fight, and Goku implied that he and Vegeta teaming up together as Super Saiyan 2s would still not be enough to defeat Majin Buu in a fight, plus the fact that Goku said as a Super Saiyan 3 that he would be able to defeat Majin Buu despite his different tactics, his regeneration, and other skills if he actually went all out. And Vegeta stated that if Goku went all out as a Super Saiyan 3, he would be able to instantly kill Kid Buu, and Goku agreed with him on this. It would only make sense to place Fat Buu around this level, which wouldn't be too close to Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but also not too close to Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta either. Then if this was the case, this would make Super Saiyan Gotenks 2.5 times stronger than Fat fat Majin Buu, which would explain the confidence that Goku had that if they fused together successfully, there was no way they could lose. But of course, at this point, we have to talk about Super Buu and the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. Now, considering that Piccolo said that Gotenks would not be able to defeat Super Buu and that's why he put him into the chamber, it makes sense to suggest that Super Buu is way above Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Which of course Goku states later on after they've removed all the people that Buu absorbed from his body, telling Vegeta that there's no way that they could win if they go outside his body without using fusion. Now when Gotenks is about to fight Super Buu in his base, Piccolo states that he powered up hugely. So clearly he got a big power up in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber during his training there. But let's inject a little bit of realism into this case, as for example, Gotenks was not even in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber for a full hour on the outside. So it's probable that they weren't in there for the full 2 weeks. Now of course, in the period of time that they were in there, they did of course unlock Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3, which is tremendous for just a short period of time that they were in there. And that in many ways definitely seems to tie into the fact that fusion is so powerful. And considering this is Dragon Ball Z, it is possible that they got several times stronger being in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber for even that short period of time, but let's lowball it and say that they got just as strong as another Super Saiyan 2 during that period of time, which added on top their power would still be a significant boost. So in this case, they would be 1.5 times what Goku was as a Super Saiyan 3 as a Super Saiyan 1. Then of course, if we add the additional Super Saiyan multipliers on top of this, as a Super Saiyan 2, Gotenks would be 3 times stronger than Goku as a Super Saiyan 3. And as a Super Saiyan 3 themselves, they would be 12 times stronger. Now considering the fact that I showed that they are stronger than Super Buu, I would place Super Buu as a 10 compared to their 12. And it makes sense to be closer to Gotenks than further away because of the fact that during his fight against Gohan, Super Buu kind of implied that he was holding back to a degree against Gotenks because during his fight against Gotenks, he could sense Gohan far away training with the Supreme Kais. So essentially, he was biding his time and kind of padding things out until eventually he would be able to absorb Gotenks so that he would be stronger than Gohan. But there would need to be enough difference between the two fighters so that Gotenks would actually be able to defeat and or kill Super Buu if he went all out. And considering that Super Buu would be a 10 in this case, that would mean that from Fat Buu to his full power as Super Buu, Buu became 20 times stronger, which is a massive increase in power. And this also ties into the fact that Goku would not be able to beat Buu even with Vegeta helping him unless they fused together. But again, this is also lowballing it. It's entirely possible that they're even much stronger than what I've just demonstrated. For example, during their period of time in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, if Gotenks even doubled his power, he would be 2.5 times Goku as a Super Saiyan 3 as a Super Saiyan 1. And if we multiply this by 4 for Super Saiyan 3, this would make Gotenks 20 times stronger as a Super Saiyan 3 than Goku would have been as a Super Saiyan 3. And if we maintain a 20 to 25% difference in power between Super Buu and Gotenks as a Super Saiyan 3, then this would place Super Buu between 16 and 17 times stronger than Goku as a Super Saiyan 3, which would mean that Super Buu powered up nearly 35 times in strength. But let's take it a step further. If we actually indulge in the absurdity that Gotenks in his base was equal to Buu in terms of strength, and we say that that Buu was actually the Fat Buu that he has fought before and got beaten up by, then that would make him 0.5 times Goku as a Super Saiyan 3 in his base alone. So if we multiply that base by 400 times for the Super Saiyan 3 multiplier from base to Super Saiyan 3, that would mean that Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks would be 200 times stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And thus Super Buu would be between 160 to 170 times stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku, meaning he powered up nearly 350 times from when he was Fat Buu. And while I demonstrated in this video earlier that I don't actually believe that to be accurate, and I think that was more of a bluff or showing that Gotenks was too full of himself and underestimating Buu's strength, and Goten and Trunks did see Super Buu before they went into the chamber as they saw him kill Chi-Chi, and due to the Super Saiyan 3 multipliers, he was nearly 400 times weaker than Super Buu when he was actually in his base. It just goes to show you just how significantly above Goku Super Buu and Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks actually were if you interpret it that way. But finally, if we decide to say that Goku is lying, and that Super Saiyan Gotenks was half as strong as Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or say that he became this strong after the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, then Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks would still be 4 times stronger than Goku as a Super Saiyan 3 himself. And at 3 to 4 times Goku, Super Buu wouldn't be too far behind Gotenks himself. But I don't believe that Goku was lying when he said that Gotenks would be stronger than him, because nothing ever actually says otherwise. So in conclusion of this video, how strong would I say that Gotenks actually is? Well, I would say that going by the math, and going by the statements, and going by the feats, Gotenks is probably somewhere between 12 and 20 times Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Although there's certainly room to suggest that he's even stronger than that. He's still weaker than Mystic or Ultimate Gohan with his full potential unlocked, but it just goes to show you just how powerful Gotenks and Super Buu are compared to even the protagonist of this series in his ultimate transformation up to that point. And it really goes to show you that Super Saiyan 3 Goku and even Kid Buu and their fight at the end of the series is really nothing compared to the power that was on display before it with Gotenks, Gohan, and Super Buu. But that's just the end of the Buu saga for you, and maybe one day I'll do a video about that as well. Well, my name is Mike, and this has been another video about Dragon Ball Z, in which I was bringing you the topic, how strong is Gotenks? Tell me your own thoughts down below. Do you agree with me or do you disagree? And also, did you ever think that Gotenks might actually be this strong? And would you like me to tell you about other characters and their strength in the future? Let me know down below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share this video with your friends so we can make more videos like this in the future, and subscribe. And as I always say, stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.